How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Eric Brotman with us, and he's the chairman of Chief Growth Officer of BCE Financial Advisor in Maryland. He started in the financial planning industry in 1994 and launched startups in 2003, which has grown to over 20 employees and 850 million in assets under management. He's the author of 3 books, including the award-winning Don't Retire, Graduate, and hosts a podcast with the same name. So, Eric, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs out there in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Harry, great question. I'm going to fire these at you rapid fire in no particular order because it's top of conscience. The first thing is that you need to cultivate your network. You need to know who all the folks are within 1 or 2 degrees of separation and have your network ready to go, because if you're launching a business or if you've already launched a business, it's really important to leverage the people and the relationships. To me, it is not about social media. It's not about trying to get exposure in that way. It's about working your network. The second thing I would say is don't ask friends and family for business. Ask them for help and advice. A lot of times people will make a list of 50 or 100 or 150 people they know and approach them to try and do business with their new organization. I don't know about you, but as a startup, that's a dangerous thing to do. It's a good way to lose friends. So instead, I tell people, it is. You don't want your friends you don't want your friends to block you, for crying out loud. But if you ask for guidance, if you ask for help, if you ask for introductions, darn near all of them are going to say yes. So make that list of people and approach them and say, I've started a business, or my side hustle has taken off, and I'm now doing this full time. A client is a client and a friend
is a friend. We have to make this distinction.
Correct, but your friend can introduce you to prospective clients. Mm-hmm. So if you ask for help, if you ask for guidance, if you ask for introductions, you will get it. Third thing is you need to be everywhere. You need to be in multiple organizations that are going to help you flourish. And you can't just sign up and not go. You have to be physically present. Don't do it over Zoom. Be there, shake hands, kiss babies, meet people, go to as many of those things as you can. And one thing I would say is try to get on at least one committee with these organizations, and preferably the membership committee. The reason to be on the membership committee is that you are then asked to meet and greet new members of the organization, whatever the organization is. You're going to get a chance to meet them and say, hi, my name is Harry. I represent XYZ organization. And oh, by the way, this is what I do for a living. And it's a way to start to build your network in a really easy, comfortable way. Fourth thing I would say is have stakeholder groups. So this goes beyond your network and beyond your friends. There are 3 kinds of stakeholder groups that I think every entrepreneur should be a part of. One of them is a study group. A study group is people who are in similar situations as you. They're either young entrepreneurs, or they're in the same business, or they've got something that is very similar to you, and you can learn from each other, view each other with a sense of abundance, not a sense of scarcity, and help each other, because that's a great way to grow it. Second thing is an executive dialogue. Some people call them masterminds. If you're in an executive dialogue group, you get together, again, a dozen folks, meet on a monthly basis, and each of you gets 1 month to introduce not only what you do and how you do it, but what you're looking for and what you need. And by the time you get through a year, you've spent time getting to know people. You will not only wind up with lifelong friends, but just as important to you as a business person, you will get lots of opportunities. It's not a leads group, though. I despise leads group. This whole idea that you're going to get a name, at that point, that to me is a waste. What you want are introductions, and you want to do them within the network. And then the third thing, and this is not to be overlooked, and it's altruistic to a sense, but figure out what your passions are and be involved on a nonprofit basis, but really involved. Don't just join to say you're part of this group. Get involved, make a difference, get on a board, let people see you making a difference in the community. They will know the kind of person you are and the cloth you're cut from, and they'll get excited to work with you in that way. And then the last thing I would say is invest in yourself, invest in the education, the tools, the technology, all the things you can do before you launch or right after you launch. Now's not a time to be cheap. It's a time to invest in yourself, because if you want to have ROI on your investment in yourself, you need all the right tools to succeed. So those would be my 5, Harry.
Keeping the money is as important as making it as an entrepreneur, Eric. And we have a huge challenge with entrepreneurs that they design the product, they make money, they make the first million, they even exit the company, okay? And the fact that they are good entrepreneurs, that doesn't mean that they are good investors. We had stories out of the 500 millionaires that we interviewed in this podcast, that there are some people that have the experience here that after exit the business and have all these millions, they have, because they don't have enough knowledge or they don't know how to invest. All of a sudden a friend comes, look, I have this building there, I have this property there. You're going to make a huge return, massive, and you're going to grow your money. And let's put this then. Then are all gone. Or then also they have check here that they give it to company, that somehow the structures, the financial planners, they make money just so it's not the main interest that this capital growth, because they're making money anyway. And there have been some stories here that they have lost a lot of serious, and they have to start to learn after they learn how to be an entrepreneur, to learn how to keep the money. So what message do you have for those entrepreneurs out there that, again, one part of the equation is making the money, but the story doesn't end here. You can make the money, but if you don't know how to invest it, you won't be able to keep it. What's your take on this?
Well, first of all, you're highlighting something really important, which is after you've had a transaction, you've sold your business, you've come into money, maybe the kind of money you've never experienced before, you are now subject to predators and creditors. You're now subject to people coming after you, whether it's family members with sad stories, whether it's a neighbor, whether a business deal you talked about, oh, you got to invest in this, this, and this. And we see way too many people who have these life-changing opportunities to monetize a business, who then wind up in dire straits. And by the way, the same thing's true anytime you come into money, whether it's an inheritance or a lottery or it's hard work and you've sold a business or whatever it is. If you don't know how to handle that kind of money, it is important to get some guidance, some help. And it's hard to know who's got your back and who's a fiduciary and who's got your best interest at heart and who's trying to sell you something. So I do think it's really important to interview multiple financial advisors. It's important if you have a good legal team. You know, you're a business that's sold, you just had probably a business broker, you definitely have an attorney, you have an accountant. Ask those people who you should work with from a financial planning perspective, who can help you make some of those decisions. And then decide how much of the life-changing monetization you want to have as a long-term hold where you want to grow it, and how much you want to have some fun with. And I know I'm talking to a guy in Miami right now, so you know how to do that. There's a lot of people in Miami doing that. But
Yeah, Miami's a lot of fun, yeah.
the
London
truth is,
also, where I'm based. London.
It's okay to take some of that windfall and enjoy yourself and have a great experience. You don't want to blow all of it, but it's okay to celebrate your wins. You just want to make sure that you have put away enough that you've maintained your financial independence and that you have it managed professionally. Don't quit your day job. If you're a good entrepreneur, but you're not a great investor, you're right, there's a difference. It's kind of like entrepreneurs often aren't great managers either. You know, the person who can start the company, and I'm guilty. I love starting companies. Oh my God, I love starting new organizations and building and taking new ideas and running with them at full speed. But I don't want to manage them. I've got to hire people who like to do that. I'm not that guy. I don't want to manage people. I want to dream big and go after some projects. And so, you know, I surround myself with awesome people who are different than me and who can bring different skill sets to the table and who love to do the things I might not love to do. And, you know, I also think it's really important along the way to share in your success. And that means your key employees, your partners, the people who helped you get there, the key relationships. Don't ride off in the sunset and say, look at me, I made lots of money and now you're on your own. Take them with you because the next step could be even better than the first one.
Eric, and the most important thing I think that we realize in terms of keeping in the money is that it's unfair that we have seen entrepreneurs out there, like, you make the money, you make the exit, and you work really hard, and all of a sudden, just because of the lack of knowledge and the right people around. Even I saw a documentary or something that the NFL players also, the grand part of it, they're going to bankrupt because usually the dad or the parent will become the financial advisors. And then again, what you said, you go to a neighborhood and then they feel indebted to this neighborhood, so they have to give money to everybody on that comes to ask them for something because this is where they belong and they want to keep belonging. And all of a sudden, after, it's not that they fight bankrupt, it goes worse because they have also to spend a lot of medical bills. And it's tough what you see out there. And I think it's a little bit unfair because after you build your career as a sport and then you work really hard for it and you make some money and you can end up in this situation that it shouldn't happen. Okay.
Well, the problem, if I can, the problem with athletes, and athletes are a great example of how this goes wrong, is that they usually don't come from money. They're suddenly wealthy, or at least on paper. They've got a lot of clingers on, a lot of people who aren't looking out for them whatsoever. But beyond that, their careers aren't very long. An NFL player's average career is 3 or 4 years. So even if they come in, and I know there's a few exceptions, but they really are the exceptions, they might come into the biggest payday of their lives. But if they start living like they're going to make that forever, they're in for a rude awakening because knees give out and hips and everything else. So you can only do it for so long. So if you're an entrepreneur in a business like accounting or finance or law or manufacturing or whatever it is, you might be able to do it for 50 years. But if you're a linebacker, you might only be able to do it for 5 years. So you really have a very limited time. Yeah.
So you have 150 million on the management. So what people should be looking at in order to hire or to work with a financial planner. And also, I think a little bit of education goes into place as well, because you see, I cannot give you money and tell you, Eric, okay, I want that you manage this 10 million for me. And by the way, in 15 days, can you make me 100 million, right? I say, Harry, you're stupid, or, so people need to have realistic things actually work. And if somebody comes with a number that doesn't make sense, probably it's a scam, Eric, right? Or what do you think?
Yes. No, if it's too good to be true, trust your gut. It's too good to be true. Money is not made overnight in most cases. Most of the time it is related to behavior. And this might be boring. It's more fun to talk about the quick buck, but that's not how it's made. It takes time to make money because it does. Money begets money. There's only 3 sources of money that you can come up with. There's your work, there's your money making money, or you need charity. That's it. While you're your sleeves and you're working in any capacity, you're making money. When you stop doing that, you have to have enough resources that make enough interest, enough dividends, enough cash flow for you to live, whatever you've invested in. And if you haven't done that, you're eventually going to run out of money and you're going to need help. And nobody wants to be in that position. So, you start to talk to financial advisors. First and foremost, I would throw out anything that sounds grandiose or too good to be true, or we're the best investors anywhere. And there's no such thing. Nobody can do it. What you need is somebody you can talk to, somebody you feel comfortable with, somebody you trust, somebody who works with people like you. If you're worth $100 million, you don't want to work with a firm that has clients who have $200,000, or vice versa. You don't want to be somebody's biggest client or their smallest one. You want to be in their roundhouse. You want to be in the kind of position where they do this every day, all day, because that you're in that sweet spot. You're in the zone and they know exactly how to help you. You need financial advisors who are going to listen more than they talk, because if they think they're the smartest person in the room, they've got another thing coming most of the time.
Eric, entrepreneurs, because again, even when we are entrepreneurs, for me, I'm passionate about your share. I love new ideas, creating the business, and kind of leading. But then I love to generate leaders in the organization so they take over of the business, and then I can be good in what I am, which is creating and going to the challenge, which have nothing to do with this boring part, which is looking at numbers, seeing returns. And Eric, I have one question for you.
Sure.
To give your opinion to the entrepreneurs. I always share in this podcast. Okay, like let's suppose that you have a restaurant. Okay, and what we see again, or entrepreneurs make money in the business, make money with the business, reinvest in the business, and after 10 years, COVID comes, something happens, a hurricane happens, and all of a sudden they are out of business in 2-3 months, everything disappeared, and now they're back to square one with zero. And I'm always floating in the podcast that, guys, if you are having a business and you have money, could be an idea if you take part of this money, invest in a property, for example, okay? This property, after you pay the mortgage, is gonna give you an extra cash flow. And you know what? You take this money for marketing for your own business. If something happened, you lost your business, still you have that asset that you cash flow forever, so you don't go to zero. Could be a property, could be another kind of vehicle. Eric, you have way more experience than me on this. But we always have these, we always encourage this podcast, this kind of behavior to the entrepreneurs that, hey, while you're growing your business, parallel, do some investments or work with the financial planner, parallel as growing, right? So you can diversify your risk so you don't go to zero. We don't want any listener or any entrepreneur to go to zero. We don't want to see that ever. So tell us, Eric, what message do you for those entrepreneurs?
I mean, the first one
and
is
if it's a good idea, what do you think?
Yeah, no. The first one is you're absolutely right. And you said the word was diversify. You want to diversify your streams of income. You want to diversify the businesses you're in. Potentially, a lot of the best entrepreneurs don't own one business, they own 4, and they're all a little different, so that one of them might get hit by a recession, but the other doesn't. And so you diversify your business interests, your real estate holdings, your liquid investment holdings, your cash, and you've built a portfolio that includes your business. Now, that doesn't mean don't reinvest in your company. You have to build and reinvest to grow. But I agree with you entirely that if you don't take some of that money off the table and reinvest it someplace else, you are at tremendous risk of being under-diversified and being in the one place you don't want to be for whatever reason. Think about it this way. Imagine all the people who, in the 10 years ago, were printing money because they were running gyms.
People think, Eric, that the business will last forever. The business will outlast them. And it's very rare, right? Deception.
Well, and let me tell you, like every entrepreneur, that was my dream. I wanted to know that this business would last beyond me. And, I literally 6 days ago, I stepped down as our CEO. 6 days after 22 years, I handed the reins to our new CEO. I'm taking on the role as a chief growth officer. We just bought a company. Oh, this just happened. This is brand new. I'm having more fun. We just bought a company.
I can tell your life is going to be amazing from now on, doing only what you love.
Well, and not only am I only doing things that are fun, I'm never retiring. That's part of the whole brand, never to retire. I don't want to do that. But so we bought it in North Carolina, and I get to go start it up. And essentially, that's like being an entrepreneur all over again, even though it's within the same ecosystem. And so I get the fun of a startup without the risk of a startup, which is the best of all worlds. And this business, if I kiss the bus tomorrow, the business will continue to run indefinitely without me.
Tell us the name of your startup and what are you doing? Tell us the name of these startups and what the company is doing.
What the company's doing right now? The new company?
The startup, yeah.
The new company is part of now this ecosystem. So we're opening a second office, a second location, and serving families in an area. But we're starting from zero. We're starting from scratch with some new families, and so it's going to be a ton of fun. But we're still in the financial planning space. But we've made sure to diversify revenues so that it's not purely investment based. Some of it's based on insurance items, some of it's based on cash, some of it's based on our own investments and our own securities. Some of it's based on consulting work and teaching and coaching and other things. I started a consultancy 6 years ago. I'm teaching financial advisors how to do this. And that is a great way. It's, I started a side hustle like I was 23 years old. I'm not 23, but I started a side hustle anyway because it was a chance to not only diversify my income, but diversify my joy, my day. I want my day to look different. If I wake up every day and I feel like it's Groundhog Day, I'm not good. I need something to look forward to.
So how you become an entrepreneur, Eric, and how you get into finance?
Completely by accident. And
Me
I mean
too.
that.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, no, I did not set out to do this. I studied English and psychology in college, and my plan was to go to law school and be a lawyer. And I started working for a financial firm, legal department, on my way to study and to go to law school. And I fell in love with the financial business. I had no idea that was going to happen. And that was in the mid 90s. And so in 1994, when I started a practice, I was just brand new. I was young. I was bootstrapping. I had money, no resources, but I also had no family, no responsibilities. I had no mortgage, no kids. You know what I mean? So the risk was all mine. I was the only one who would suffer if it didn't work, right? So it was a little easier that way. In 2003, after 10 years in practice or so, I launched a company. And that was a completely different experience. And it was great. I had the concept. I knew what I was doing. I had some good ideas, but I only had one full-time and one part-time person. I had to sign a lease and a 5-year lease and get all the equipment and furniture and all the space and do that. I had to borrow money from everywhere. And a little inside, I was 2 years away from being divorced. I didn't have I really didn't have a lot of resources when I started the company, and I borrowed from everywhere. I borrowed from my life insurance. I borrowed from my house. I borrowed from my mom, Harry. You know what it's like to borrow money from your mom? It was
to put in the company. Wow.
To start the company. I borrowed from every place. I borrowed from credit cards, and no one should do that. I did what I had to do. And it took me almost 2 years to pay that off and to be back at it.
We all been there.
Ooh, boy, it was scary.
Yeah. It's sometimes like for me, I started my first business property. We managed to save millions, and then I opened another business, and because this is what I like, I get excited, and I open a restaurant in Brick Lane in London.
Oh no, really?
And
That
I
is
lost
a tough way to make it.
200,000 and have to get back up again. And but a big now when I'm speaking with entrepreneurs or with people that go to study, say, Harry, I want to spend all this money and I'm gonna start a master in business and administration, an MBA. I said, look, you really want to do an MBA? Open a restaurant in Brick Lane.
Oh man,
I would not. It's a road that. Look, when I landed there again, Eric, I had to pay for the of space. Then I was a Spanish restaurant. I had this brilliant idea. No, I want a guitar on the ceiling. And my bid, Harry, why don't give us a day? I said, look, this is a Spanish place. I want a guitar in the ceiling. I want the ceiling down. So the guy said, well, it's gonna take 2 months more. The restaurant closed because of this. I said, it doesn't matter. We're going to have a wonderful guitar, Spanish guitar in the ceiling. So I'm paying rent and thinking that this is going to be the best restaurant in the world. The day that I opened, nobody came in. Long story short, the restaurant now is Chinese, and my guitar is still there. The Chinese guy that went there, opened the door, saw the guitar, said, you know what? Let's sell Chinese food. Don't worry about it. And the guitar, my guitar. That cost me a lot of money. So,
oh God. Well, first of all, rest business. I love business. I wouldn't go into the restaurant business for anything. That is a hard thing to do. Very few make it. But secondly, I got to ask you, did you have great paella? Was the paella awesome?
Yes. The paella is amazing.
I'm a sucker for that. I'm a sucker for that. You had me at paella. That's best.
No problem with the food. The problem is that exactly what you described. I came from a very easy business, which is property. When you find one client and you make a lot of money, especially the tenant that paying you every month, and That's it. You find one person and pay you high ticket. With I'm landing another business that now I need hundreds of customers and they're gonna pay very little, like 20, 30. I was not used to this thing.
Oh yeah.
I was not used to have a freezer the size of my living room. That when the energy bill comes, and also imagine I land in this. I put this restaurant. This restaurant was in the Brickland Street with everything. The rest, all the streets is restaurant. So you have competition just next door. But apart from that, I realized after I landed that all those restaurants there, minimum, the owners have 30 years of experience, have been passed the restaurant from generation to generation. And there is me, the just entrepreneur with no clue what I'm doing, swimming with sharks. So I took a business lesson there that, and 2 years of my life. It's not only the money that brought, I had to there Monday to Sunday because see, I'm trying to make this work. I have to make this work. And exactly like you said, you need to borrow from here, borrow from there, try to make this work. And they think it's not working. And sometimes you have to, the hardest stuff is, look, I was wrong and close it. That's tough. Yeah, but it has to be done because otherwise Eric dragged the other businesses. And it was hard, but it needed to be done. It's difficult to let it go because business take it personal. You think it's your baby. People, the restaurant was not working. I was clearly, and somebody come to me, Harry, you should close this restaurant. It's not working, and I'm getting upset with people. They're telling me the truth. Yeah. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Food was great. I think things doesn't happen to you; they happen for you. So this maybe sometimes the worst day of your life become the best day of your life. And that I learned about this restaurant, Eric, is like I know what maybe I didn't know back then what I really wanted, but I was 100% sure what I don't want anymore in my life.
A restaurant.
This a restaurant and taking to a business. This business with load. This is not Harry. This is not me anymore. Nothing wrong with people that are doing it. I actually have a lot of admiration for them, and I always telling them, number one, you're really passionate about food. Number two, if you're making money with restaurants, you should be doing something else that's way easier. If you're making money with restaurants, you are my God, so you should do something else that's way easier. But anyway, that's another conversation. Clearly, they're passionate about food. So Eric, so we've been in this process, okay, the 0 to 1. Tell us about, because this is, you share your recipe at the beginning of the broadcast, your 5-step, how to get first million. And so tell us about this journey from your 0 to 1, because there is a lot of, and we talk a lot about in this podcast about this, that, you see people on the internet with the Rolls Royce and the Lamborghini and the saying that, okay, business is easy, or you go to 0 to 1 easy, whatever. And then we have you, look very simple there, managing over 150 million, that might have a different opinion, or what do you think about this statement? And tell us a little bit more about your journey from 0 to 1. It was that easy as everybody say, or how was it?
Easy is not the right word. No, it wasn't easy. I mean, the first 9 years after I started the company, I was 6 and 7 days a week.
9 years.
9 years.
Look at this. Wow.
9 years.
Wow.
I didn't take a week off.
Wow.
I did not take a week's vacation for 9 years. But the last 10 years.
Easy is not the word to describe, no.
No. I was at 2:00 in the morning when the computers weren't working, and I was here when somebody quit, and I had to cover for somebody. That you're not prepared for some of that, and dealing with people and people's lives that are more important to them than their work, frankly, and as they should be, their family and other responsibilities. So it took a long time to figure out. I will say that best things that I did, the things that made me the most successful, one was not trying to do it by myself. You often hear, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. This was one where I started selling stock in the company to other employee owners in my 30s, and people thought I was crazy. They said, "What are you doing? It's not ripe on the vine yet. Why would you sell any of it right now? It's going to be worth so much more." And the fact is that I believe that we are wildly successful because we have now 8 people with skin in the game who own some of the company, who will share the blood, sweat, and tears with me a little bit. So it's not just me.
100%.
It's being an entrepreneur can be extremely lonely. You feel like you don't have any peers. You feel like
Tell me
you're on your
about
own.
it.
It can be very lonely, and like you're the
What do
only
you
one
think
who
I do
has.
this podcast?
Well, see, because you get to talk to crazy people like me. I like that. But
Exactly. It's brilliant.
it's and you don't have any peers, and you don't have anybody necessarily to talk to who can understand what you're going through. And so, when I started doing that and I started taking on other owners, today I own 58% of this firm. It's feathering my nest and should for the rest of time. But I didn't do it alone, and I was able to help mint some other younger, in most cases, some other people building their own wealth and building their own future and doing it in a shared way, which has been a very rewarding thing. So I think it's not about me. When I started the company, my name was on the door. My name is not on the door anymore. It's not about me. It's about all of us. And, we now have 24 people. From 3 people to 24, we went from no revenue to now close to 10 million a year in revenues and everything else, and really doing well. We're hit $1 billion under management here in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
We're here. It's a dream come true, and I'm working for fun now, and that is good. Now I can take those vacations. I'm doing all the things. I've got a daughter who is the best thing that ever happened to me, and I get to spend lots of time with her. I paid my dues. I didn't become a dad till I was 38, so I really lived my work for a very long time to build it. And once I got it going, and I found some compatriots who could share with me, then I was able to have balance and have family and have vacation and have health and feel great. But I mean, you really have to put your head down and just beat it against a wall for a while to get there. And there's no easy way. There's no shortcut. I wish I could tell you it's this simple. If I had to do it over again, I would certainly do a couple things differently, but a lot of it I would repeat because it's worked. It hasn't worked perfectly.
Eric, at the end, this is what I believe. Being an entrepreneur is skill. Every single human being can be an entrepreneur, but it's skill-based. Basically, the more you practice, the better you become. And if you don't spend this hard work that you're describing, is developing the skill of becoming an entrepreneur. Yes, some people learn how to drive faster, some people take longer, but until you don't do this hard work, you describe it as hard work. I describe it developing a skill to be a great entrepreneur. Okay, and it comes with practice.
No, you're right.
And the time you stay practicing, and the longer hours that you stay practicing this, you will develop the skill, right? And look at you, how you're excited to go with the new startup. You know what I mean? Because now you have a skill. It's like I tell you, okay, Eric, can you drive this car? I said, okay, easy. I can drive it. Now you have the skill. Yeah. So now you're all excited. When you were 23 years old without the skill,
I didn't know anything.
Completely different to drive that car.
Oh my gosh.
Ball game to drive that car, right? So it's all a skill, and the skill comes with hard work, with practice, and this practice translating hard work, and it's not a talent. No, you're a singer. Oh, I'm a singer, so I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is not a talent thing. It's a skill based.
It's grit.
Go ahead.
Grit. It's not talent. It is grit. It is confidence. It is, it's not giving up. I mean, you're going to get knocked down. All of us, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, no matter where, you're going to get knocked around.
We're can guarantee something to every entrepreneur out there that you're going to take a hit.
Yes, you are. And you have to be ready. The thing is, you said something interesting, Harry. You said that anyone could be an entrepreneur. And while I think there's some truth to that, the fact is that 3 out of 4 people don't have the appetite for the risk. The risk is too great. They need a steady paycheck. They need to know where their next rent or mortgage payment's coming from. Especially if they're parents and if they've got family obligations. This requires an appetite for risk. Be prepared for it to go wrong. like the restaurant. You got to be prepared for that emotionally, financially, logistically. You got to be like, okay, I did it. It went to hell. I'm going to do something else. And you have to be okay with that. And most people aren't. So even though they might have the skill, even though they might have the wisdom, even though they might have the talent, you got to have an appetite for risk. You have to be willing to do that. And not everyone has it. But I will say, if you're in an industry like ours, finance, and you want to be involved, you don't have to necessarily be the entrepreneur to find success. You might find an entrepreneur who will share his or her success with you. And by building that relationship, maybe you don't have to be this startup. Being a startup is exciting, but terrifying, So not everybody's going to do that. But I do think you can find ways to business and ways to grow your own wealth without necessarily that whole risk.
Eric, if someone is in love with this conversation, how people find you, how this process work, and how can you help people with?
Sure. The best place to find me online is at bfgfa.com. That is our financial planning firm. I also, you can check out our podcast. We talk to people every Thursday about their money story, and we've had some really amazing conversations at retiregraduate.com. And, we help families of all different types. All of clients are U.S. citizens. We can only work in the U.S. because all kinds of various laws and regulations. But outside of that, we can work with almost any family.
What can you help them with? What can you help them with?
We can help them with their personal financial decision-making, their investment management, their insurance management, their cash flow, all the various things, plus business advice and those kinds of things, what they'd like. So whether you're an entrepreneur or not, getting some guidance makes a huge difference. And that's what we love to do.
Tell us your books, what your favorite and why, and where people can buy them, the title of the book and where people can buy them.
Sure. Don't Retire, Graduate is available on Amazon or any place you buy books, as well as at that same website as the podcast. The book was written as essentially a path to financial independence, so that if you were to follow it, and you can pick it up anywhere along the journey, you can be at any age to start, but it is basically all of these that you need to start to build your own wealth. And you can, if you go through it, there's a workbook with it, and if you go through it, you'll wind up with a financial plan. And you can do some of this yourself, and then you can decide to outsource where you want help in those areas where you think you need the most.
Oh, wow. So, Eric, the other day, in London, I have cab drivers that they drive me around all the time. I use this service a lot, so I know all the taxi drivers that were literally just down my house. And I talk a lot to them. They drive a lot. And one day I was asking for one of them. And no, I was not asking for one of them. No, most of them have a house in Spain, right? In London. And one day I'm talking to one and said, look, you house in Spain. What are you doing driving this thing, man? Go, just retire, go to Spain and enjoy life. And what he told me, Eric, Harry, our cab driver offices, the other day somebody did that and died after 2 years.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun here. When we don't have customers, we play cards, we stay active. We are old, but we have something going on here. And you tell us a story, then back, and then we make a little bit of money. And we play cards the whole evening here and things like this. But since this incident happened, no one wants to retire. And it's a little bit of truth of this, because if you're not active, Eric, like everybody said, no, I want to retire. I remember, I have this idea, okay, I'm going to make $1 million and I'm going to retire. I'm going to spend, I'm going to be in the beach and I'm going to don't do anything. This actually happened to me, and I went to that beach. After 2 weeks, I'm so bored.
Correct.
It doesn't really work like things will work, right?
I'll give you the 3 secrets. Okay, I got secrets of the happiest retirees, because I don't believe in retirement in the true sense. I think retirement's the lack of needing to work.
I can tell. You have it all over the place.
Yes, that doesn't mean be independent. Be financially independent,
exactly.
But keep doing
things up.
So 3 secrets. Number 1, don't owe anybody anything. Be debt-free. I know there's good debt and bad debt, and there's leverage and business debt, and there's some things that are fine, but generally speaking, you should owe no one anything. Number two, protect your health. Protect all different types of your health, your spiritual health, your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health. Be healthy, and be healthy for your whole life. Don't try and wake up one day at 63 and become healthy. That's hard to do. And the third thing is live a life with purpose. You've got to have a reason to get out of bed every morning, or you will stop getting out of bed every morning. You know, that is a miserable existence. And for you to get bored in 2 weeks at the beach is a week more than I could handle. So I mean, I don't think that's lazy. I think that's dedicated to lounging. But you have to have a reason to get out of bed. It's great to take time off. It's great to not miss the good stuff with family and friends and loved ones. But you got to have a reason to get out of bed, and it can't just be golf or a hobby or a beach. It can't be. There has to be more to life.
Yeah. It's like sometimes, you know, I remember Eric, I started this business, I'm going to make $1 million, I'm going to be a millionaire. And when actually happened, I was so immersed that I didn't even realize. The accountant told
Not only
me.
that,
so one thing is what you think at the beginning, but then in that journey, you find, like you said, you find your purpose, and you're so responsible. You get a lot of responsibility with your clients, your employees, and you are so immersed in that thing. That thing that you thought at the beginning, are gonna make this million, are gonna be in the beach. Well, when it actually happens, you're gonna be so immersed in the whole ecosystem that you won't even notice.
Yes, but I will tell you, I also have a house at the beach. I also work from there sometimes too. So
exactly,
it's okay. You might still have a place.
Absolutely.
You might still have a place at the beach, and that makes me happy. You know, I think you're espousing a lot of wisdom there. That's exactly right. And it's not about the money, because you know, making $1 million, having $1 million in the bank, so to speak, will create somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 a year of income, which, by the way, most families and particularly entrepreneurs don't want to live on. It's not that much money. It sounds like a big number because we're old enough to remember when $1 million sounded like all the money in the world. It's not. And if you stop there, you will not like it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eric. And for all of you following the podcast, see you in the next episode. I want to talk about how great entrepreneurs like Eric Brotman break the wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.